The Sutherland story begins in the eastern suburbs of Sydney in 1926. It was a comfortable start in life. A mother with a fine mezzo-soprano voice, a loving father, and records of famous singers on the gramophone. There were idyllic summers of swimming below the house, but suddenly a change. Her father died when she was 6, and she suffered from sinus and ear problems. At school, Sutherland had a good academic record, but singing remained her main interest. While working as a secretary in Sydney, she studied with various teachers and began entering vocal competitions. Meanwhile, someone who would play a key role in her future was studying piano at the Sydney Conservatorium and would soon leave for London. He was Richard Bonning. Australians often regard their arts in terms of competition. And in 1950, Sutherland won first prize in the lucrative Mobile Quest in the Melbourne Town Hall. She was on her way. Her prize money, together with a sizable cheque from an uncle and the proceeds of a farewell concert in the Sydney Town Hall, made possible a trip to London. And so, in 1951, she and her mother set out on the long, hopeful journey talented young Australians then had to make to prove themselves. These days, the Bonnings visit London most frequently for recording. Kingsway Hall, a former Methodist chapel, is the leading studio in the classical recording centre of the world.
You haven't got one? Yes? Yes. Okay, play the 14th bar slowly, and then on the 15th bar...
As far as recording is concerned, I find that it's somewhat dehumanized, but I think that we are very fortunate to be able to leave behind such a reasonably exact record of the sort of sounds we make.
Well, the difficulty of the recording studio is that you have to be able to emote at the press of a button. This is a very hard thing to do, but of course it's like everything else, it's a technique that can be learned.
Well, from where you start, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the 11th bar. Put a diminuendo in the third of the bar.
The orchestra is the National Philharmonic.
Richard, are we ready to do a take out there?
Yes, ready now.
Okay, roll down. Right, take, quite everybody please, take 17. Watch out for the voice.
Thank you.
Sutherland first arrived in London with the ambition to sing at Covent Garden Opera, and so did hundreds of other young hopefuls from all over the world. She took a room, hired a piano, began voice lessons, and met up again with Richard Bonham. Together they worked on her vocal range, raising it to a higher coloratura. It was only after 3 auditions that Covent Garden took her into the company at a salary of £10 a week. There began an amazing succession of roles that gave her one of the widest repertoires of any singer. Der Freischütz, Carmen, The Tales of Hoffmann, the occasional Wagner, The Midsummer Marriage. Sutherland and Bonham were married in 1954. They moved into a Kensington apartment, and 2 years later their son, Adam, was born. Then there were new roles to sing. The Master Singers, the Carmelites, Don Giovanni. After nearly 7 years at Covent Garden came the turning point, a new production of Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor. Franco Zeffirelli directed Sutherland's acting as Lucia into a fluency previously thought impossible. Maria Callas, who in modern times had made this role her own, went to the dress rehearsal and allowed herself to be photographed after the performance. The Bonham smile in the background sensed the events to come. First night was a triumph. In the house that had politely ignored her fellow Australian, Nellie Melba, 70 years before, when she had made a dismal London debut in the same role.